Oh man. Oh man. All right. Should
Thank
we
you.
get started, you guys?
Yes.
I need my fanfare first.
Okay. So we're just gonna dive right into it. As typical, we're gonna just talk about the playoffs and the finals and everything that happened yesterday. Um, Crazy. So Dubs are up 3-2, heading back to Boston. So Jay, how you feeling? Like me and you predicted, Warriors may just finish this thing off tomorrow, or it may go to 7. What are you predicting?
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Wait a gosh darn minute. We made a prediction. You weren't on the live.
You know why he wants to start this, right?
What are we going into?
The reason why he wants to start this is because he was the one who picked. He's the one who picked the Warriors by almost 20, and it would have been 20. So the floor is yours, Tone.
So Haley.
But you just picked it for one game, didn't you?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
For one game. However, we said we were on our live last night, Monday at 8. We got to figure out. We got to get you on that.
Yeah, I'll come on.
But we made our picks, and Jay picked the Celtics, which is odd because you picked the Warriors to win the series. I picked the Celtics to win the series, but I just felt that's what he picked the Celtics, and I said Warriors by 20, Dub Nation. And it would have been funny if they left their people in. I would have been dead on that one. So I don't know what to say. I still picked the Celtics in 7, so it could still happen.
Oh yeah. And I get, Jay, from your perspective. I mean, they were 0-7 coming off a loss, or 7-0 coming off a loss. So, I mean, I had my own fears, but I knew there was a game coming where the role players and the rest of the team was going to help Steph out. And I predicted on one of my videos yesterday that they were going to kind of help him out. And I was right. So anyways, yeah. Fluent, go ahead. Tell us what you're thinking for game 6 and, pros and cons that both teams did yesterday.
Okay, so I'm going to do it in reverse order. Let's start with last night. Let's start with last night's game. If you can have Steph Curry shoot like that and still win, you must be feeling really good about yourself. And everybody wants to compare Andrew Wiggins to what his dad did, I think, also in game 5 back in 86. His dad came off the bench, put up by like 16 and 7. Now, that was big for him. This was not that. Like you had people after last night saying, if Wiggins has another game like that in game 6 and the Warriors win, he might be the MVP of this damn thing.
Whoa, Tone, why is that ridiculous? Why is that ridiculous? I'm all ears to hear why that's ridiculous. And before you go any further, just know that Andrew Wiggins in the last 2 games, he's 22 and 15. So if he goes 23 and 13 or 25 and 12 in the next game and they close it out, and Steph Curry goes a modest 20. You got a guy that's the last 3 games of the series is averaging 24 and 13 for the rest of the series. Are you telling me that it's ridiculous to think that Andrew Wiggins could be the finals MVP? I'm all ears, Tone.
Now, here's the problem. I don't have my "that's not ridiculous" button set up yet. However, we should take a poll because we need a tagline for Haley as well. But that being said, okay, if Wiggins outplays if Andrew Wiggins outplays Steph Curry by a ton, okay, we can have that conversation. But right now, where it stands today after that one game, Steph Curry is still here for the series and Andrew Wiggins is here. There's still a sizable gap. Mm-hmm. Now, what's the likelihood of Steph in a closeout game? What's the likelihood of Steph having a bad game, Wiggins having a 30+ point game, right, to Steph, and the Warriors winning?
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you mentioned that, Tone. I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm looking at game 4, and Andrew Wiggins goes 17 and 16. He almost went 20 and 20. And then the next game after that, he goes 26 and 13. So if all things are considered, there's no reason for me to believe that in game 6 he can go 30 and 15. Why? Because he's on that trajectory. And the way he's been, not only the way he's been playing, I mean, not only because he's on that trajectory, but the way he's been playing, the way he's been on the backboard, the way he's been outworking guys, the way he's been in transition, the way he's been defensively. there's no reason for me to think that he can't continue to do this. Now, do I expect him to be 30 and 15 for the rest of the series? But for one more game, can I get him to do that? I don't think that's ridiculous.
So you think the Warriors can go into Boston and Wiggins is going to be the 35 and 12 guy that gets them the championship?
Well, like I said, the way Wiggins has been playing these last two games, he's on a trajectory. He's going up. Now, the problem that I'm having is I had the Warriors pick to win this thing in 6, though. I don't have them. I'm not sure. I didn't have them beating the Boston Celtics 3 straight games. I just can't see that. But there's a bit of a clash here because, again, the way Andrew Wiggins has been playing, if I told you, Tone, that Steph Curry went, you didn't watch the game, but Steph Curry went 0 for 9 last night, and Klay Thompson was the only starter to hit a long ball. He was the only one, and they won going away. What would you have said to me? You would have been like, "Nah, Jay, that did not happen."
I would have said they lost. Is what
Right.
I could have said it. I could see it happening. It's not like it's the first time that Curry, no offense, disappeared. The fact that he broke, what was it, 232 straight games with a 3, like a lot of stuff happened last night. I would have said they lost the game. Would I have believed you? Yes. Would I have said they won the game? No, there's no way I would have believed that they won the game.
Right. So when I look, like I said, when I look at what the Warriors are doing, and I did have them pick to win this series, it's a bit of a clash in how in my thinking, because I'm having a fight with myself. Because I did have them winning the series in 6. I'm just having a difficult time seeing them beat the Celtics 3 straight games. I'm thinking, can they beat the Celtics 3 straight? But then on the flip side, I'm also thinking to myself, Steph Curry is looking at Jason Tatum, who you know how much I love him. He's looking at Jaylen Brown, and he's looking at Marcus Smart, and he's looking at Al Horford, and he's looking at that crew, and he's saying, that's not LeBron James over there. That's not Kawhi Leonard over there. That's not Kevin Durant over there. We ain't losing to these guys. We're not losing to them. So that might be the logic as well. So I'm having a battle with myself here because I'm not sure how this thing's going to turn out. I'm really not.
Yeah, I know. I agree. And off both of your points, Wiggins, I think, has been the most consistent player between he and Steph over the various series we've had. But throughout the finals, Steph, we would not be here without what Steph has done. We no matter, despite if Wiggins had played the way he had or not, like, we would not be here without how Steph has played. So despite how he plays the next few games, in my opinion, his offense, his defense, the way that he led the team, I think that it's hopefully not an arguable thing. But,
but that's a really good point, Haley. Like, if Curry doesn't play the way he plays in the first 4 games, this series is already over.
Yeah, just based.
The flip side to that though, Tone, is Andrew Wiggins is 17 and 8 in this series, right? Curry 34 games shooting 50 and 49%. 50% on the floor, 49% on the long ball, right? But with that being said, Wiggins is having quiet 20 games where we're not even talking about it. Game 4, he had a quiet 17 and 16. We didn't even discuss it. I brushed over it. He had a quiet double-double. Where if you take that 17 and 16 off the table, are they in this series? Like you just said, this series is over if Steph is not doing what he's doing. We can make the argument Andrew Wiggins is their second best player in this series.
We need to stop for a second because there's some chatter that can't hear you as well as we should, Jay. Your mic. Yeah, can we get a mic check?
Okay, hold on. Let me turn my mic. Okay, because the reason why is the last time I was on with these guys, we had.
They made you turn it down because Shaq wants everybody quiet so they can hear his yelling bad takes over everybody.
Apparently, my mic wasn't loud enough. So how about now? Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2.
Again.
Turn me up a little bit more. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2.
Actually, no change there, Jay.
All right, hold on. Let me turn myself up a little bit. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. All right, hold on. Let me move my mic a little bit closer too. How about now, Tone?
Can you hear him okay? Better. Is that better? Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a little better for sure. Yeah.
How about now? Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic. Let me get a little bit closer to the microphone. Hold on, let me adjust myself here. I think I'm good, but how about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, everybody's saying that's good.
Everyone's saying that's good. Okay,
You
so
good? Yep.
all right, there we go. So I'm looking at it. Good. It gave me a chance to pull it up. So here's what we're looking at today. Look, I know what you're saying. Wiggins would have to outplay him in the let's say in Game 6 in the closeout game or Game 7 in the closeout game. But as of right now, 31, 6 and 5, and almost 2 steals a game for Curry. 18 and a half, 9 and 1 for Wiggins. I get it. The defense, hey, I get it. But he's also Curry's still shooting even after last night. He's shooting 41.7% from 3.
Right.
Like that's it's just the statistical side of things is so skewed to Curry that I think I don't want to fall in love with the eye test or with the last game or two. Like I want to look at it from the big picture. And of course, if you don't get, Wiggins, in that game where he's 17, 16, whatever, of course they don't win.
Right.
Heck, if you don't get the 43 out of Steph, they don't win. They get blown out. But so you can always use that argument. So for me, I think it's Steph, and I think it would take a monumental game from Wiggins to take over that spot. And I'll say this: I think whoever's voting, they want to give it to Steph.
They do, Tone. That's not nonsense that they want to give it to Steph. However, we've seen things transpire in a different way. It wasn't like Andre Iguodala. First of all, he wasn't even starting in the series at one point. He got inserted into the starting lineup. He was coming off the bench the first 2 or 3 games of that series, where Steve Kerr had to be convinced to start him, and then he ended up winning Finals MVP. Meanwhile, Curry goes 26-7 in that series, and they win.
I really don't
right?
like. I really don't like that.
And
like I would have rather, and you know how I feel about this. I would have rather have given it to my new poster, LeBron James, in a losing effort than give it to Andre Iguodala. I think that really tainted what the MVP is, the Finals MVP award. I think that I think it did really hurt. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Tom. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I was gonna do a sidebar, so I'll do it after.
And you can say the same thing about Leonard in 2014. Just so we clear, I mean, Kawhi Leonard did go 17-8, I think 17-9 in that series, and he won the Finals MVP. So it's not like it's a situation where because you have great numbers that guarantees that you're going to be the Finals MVP. And I know that the writers in particular, they want to give this thing to Steph Curry. They're itching.
If it's close, they're going Curry.
They're itching to give this.
Should.
Yeah, they're itching to give this thing to Steph Curry. But if they win tomorrow night, if they win on Thursday night, and Andrew Wiggins does something nuts where he goes like 28-17, we got a problem. We have a problem, folks. So
especially those offensive rebounds. Damn.
Yes,
that's huge.
Yes, we absolutely have a problem. So, when I look at this Warriors team, I see a team that's beaten Boston at their own game. Boston, when they've won, they've beaten them at their own game. Now, last night was no different. They forced Boston into a lot of turnovers. They had 9 turnovers in the first half. Not just Jason Tatum, Boston's offense is predicated on transition and Jaylen Brown getting going early. If Jaylen Brown gets going early, that gets them going early. Well, he starts the game. He's 2 for 10 at the half. And not only is he 2 for 10 at the half, he's not getting to the spots that he needs to get to. I thought that they did a good job of keeping him off balance, a really good job of keeping him off balance. Jason Tatum has that kind of game where he can get going as the game goes on because he does so many other things that he can get going as the game goes on. But Jaylen Brown is the guy who, once he gets going, then they get going because he speeds them up. And that didn't happen last night. We got a lot of guys taking a lot of bad shots. What I equated to, Tone, I equated to us going over our routine, and then we get to the show and we're bumping into, because they looked sloppy early. They looked like they were bumping into each other. They looked like they were tripping over each other. I want to equate it to watching just a bunch of guys who they look like the Celtics look like they just found those guys and like, yo, you guys want to go play a game? Come on, let's go. Because that's what it looked like.
They looked a little bit like the Celtics at the beginning of the season.
That's what they look like, Tone.
Where they didn't understand each other's role and they were getting in each other's way, and that scares me now. Like I think my picks, and again, I still have a chance. I had Celtics in 7. I don't know how confident I feel about it just because of what I saw last night.
Why does what happened last night sway you as much as it did? Now, don't get me wrong, Tone.
Because they're looking. Because again, I'm still on Celtics. I'm sticking to my pick. But what I saw last night was that team that we didn't think was even going to make the playoffs at the beginning of the season, where we were calling it, hey, you got to trade Tatum or Brown. You got to get rid of them. They can't work together. Marcus Smart is a problem, right? Like that's kind of what I felt, not to the same extent.
Right.
And the reason why I'm not less confident about my pick is because that isn't something typically that changes in a game, right? It's typically something that lingers for a couple of games. They don't have a couple of games to figure it out. They have a one day, figure it out and get back to it. Now, home cooking is going to help, I think. They never lost. They've come off every loss with a win. So now they've got 2 in a row. So, I think this is a series. I'm pretty confident this series is going 7. We'll get to our picks here in a minute. So I'm feeling good about it, better about it because if they were going back to Golden State,
you think this thing is over?
It's over. I think Boston, being in Boston, I think is going to give, even though they're probably a better team on the road. Let's be honest, this playoffs. I'm going to stick with my pick, but I feel better because they're in Boston, but I'm nervous.
Like I said, Tone, I'm watching this group and they look like a disoriented, disjointed group last night. Hartford, Smart, and Brown. I mean, they start the game 3 for 14 to start the game, right? And they turn it around in the third quarter where they end up outscoring the Warriors, which is surprising because, as we know, I mean, I think the Warriors are plus 30 against the Boston Celtics in the third quarter. So the barrage is coming. Yeah. Whenever the third quarter comes, the barrage is coming. Add that to the fact that come the fourth quarter, I think the Celtics have outscored the Celtics have outscored the Warriors. I think they're plus 40, but it just looked like they just went to pieces. The thing that's screwing up the Celtics more than anything is me watching them get away from what it is that they do best. The Celtics are a team that they get a lot of stuff in transition. They get not only just get a lot of stuff in transition, they get a lot of stuff in half court where the ball is moving. The ball wasn't moving last night. It was one pass, Jason Tatum, go to the basket, Jaylen Brown, make something happen. The defense was just stationary. Nobody was moving. There was no action. And I also think that Udoka got out coached last night because the one thing that I saw from that Warriors team,
quite a bit. I've heard that.
The one thing that I saw from the Warriors team, one thing I saw that was really good was rotations, and not just rotations with subs, rotations on offense. I thought that they did a great job of keeping that basketball moving and keeping the Boston Celtics off balance defensively. And you can't account for 29 points, Tone, from Poole and Gary Payton. You didn't prepare for that. No matter what you prepared for, you did not prepare for Gary Payton getting 15 off the bench. You didn't prepare for that.
No, 100%. And Fluent, if you were Ime going into Game 6, what's one piece of advice that you would give the team, whether it's just one specific thing to work on or just an energy booster? What would you tell them to focus on into Game 6?
Don't screw it up. No, I go.
I mean, yeah.
Don't screw it up, dummy. You're in the NBA final. But no, I go back to what worked, right? Like they have a plan that has got them to Game 6 in the NBA final. Just play your game. Don't, and to Jay's point, they're both losing to each other when the other plays the other team. Play your game. Don't let the Warriors dictate what's going to happen. Listen, I think. Now, was it Steph having a bad game? Was it the Celtics defense last night? I don't know. Probably a little bit of both, but I think it was more just Steph gets into these funks. He does it. This is why, when people start talking about, the greats, Steph kind of gets pushed a little bit to the back because we've seen him disappear in finals. We've seen him disappear in fourth quarters. And so I don't want to give all the credit to the Celtics defense, but I don't want to give them none of the credit. So what do they have to do? If I'm the coach, I say, do what got us here, which is play hard-nosed defense and go to the rim. When Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown attack the basket, right, they don't have Looney. That's it. They don't have a lot of bigs that can, really dictate what they're doing at the rim. Go to the rim. Because guess what? If Looney gets in foul trouble and they got to play, more Draymond, Kuminga, they got to bring in, guys like that, you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
And we've seen that's been the Celtics kind of Achilles heel this whole playoffs is when Tatum and Brown specifically fall in love with that three, chalk it up as a win for the other team. So defense, go to the hoop and I mean, I'm taking quick timeouts. Like if I see in the first quarter that Jason Tatum's falling in love and shooting a three when he had a lane, I'm calling a timeout and I'm tearing into him. Right. I think that's if it's me, that's is I'm making sure that they play the way they have to play. Because if they don't, what?
Yo.
Did you lose me?
Did we freeze up?
No, I'm
good.
Yeah, I think we're good.
That's you, Jay.
That's Jay. You want to do a
frozen.
super chat while Jay's frozen? Jay's gonna have to reboot in a minute.
Is that me? I'm good.
Oh, there's a hurricane. There's a hurricane in Florida. The internet is down.
I don't know. I thought that something was going on, Tone. You said you were laying in the.
Can I just? I'm going to call it out since you didn't, Haley. JF, a bunch of symbols before JF with the super chat. This is his new favorite show.
Yeah.
Let's just take a minute. Take a minute for JF.
Thanks, Jay.
We good.
You're the best. Well, let me interrupt.
Some better buttons over here. I promise.
Let me interrupt you on that last thought because I think previous to last night's game, the Celtics had only blitzed Steph 3 times in the entire series. But what I saw last night is the Celtics did a lot better job defending Steph, keeping him on lock. Yes, he was missing some of his open shots, but for the most part, they did a lot better job. Unfortunately, what that does is relieve all the other players on the Warriors to get in those shots, which they did. So you kind of have to pick your battle. But yeah, I agree with you. If you're gonna,
if I'm gonna lose to Gary Payton, Jordan Poole, and Andrew Wiggins, listen, I'm gonna have to live with that. But I cannot get beat by Steph Curry.
Yeah,
I can't.
I'm surprised it took them that long to make adjustments regarding Steph. Like it took 4-5 games for them to start implementing something new. But you never know. I mean, I guess you just bank on Steph not being that good every night. I wouldn't personally, but it just took a long time for them to make that adjustment.
I don't know if they didn't make the adjustment more than it was. They were afraid of what it was. So before the series, not before the series, while this series was going on, Steph was shooting almost the same from the long ball as he's shooting in the mid-range. So what would we rather eat? Would we rather eat the mid-range or are we going to eat the long ball? Well, I definitely want to eat the mid-range, but Hartford and those guys we had to get Tice out of the lineup. And the reason why we got to get Tice out of the lineup is simply because he can't play. Not only can he not play drop coverage, he gets smoked whenever he's trying to blitz. It was almost, it looked foreign to him. So he's one of those guys who now he becomes a liability in this series. But the Celtics, more than anything, they got to take better care of the basketball. Of all the things that they've been doing, they have to take better care of the basketball. The one thing that the Warriors have been living on, they've been banking on the fact that you guys are going to turn the basketball over and we're going to convert on that. I mean, they turned the ball over 18 times yesterday. You give the Warriors 18 turnovers. I think the Warriors had 15 points off turnovers yesterday. That's not going to help you guys out at all. Add that to the fact that you guys rebounded, even though the Celtics won the rebound battle. The offensive rebound battle, that's got to stay in your favor.
There's so many times when I see Andrew Wiggins get the offensive rebound and just go right up, and he's got feet in between him and the defensive play. You can't have that. You can't have that.
You got to have guys gang rebounding. You have to. You got to have guys. You got to have guys. The Warriors are great at that. They are. The Warriors are absolutely fantastic at gang rebounding on the offensive end. They're great. They're great at that. And add that to the fact that, Haley, you are a Warriors fan, so I know you cringe when you watch this. You got to keep going after Steph. The way that you get a great offensive player off balance, you got to go after him.
Yeah.
You have to. The only way, keep the ball away from him and make him work on defense. And they did the same thing last night as they did in Game 4, where Jordan Poole and Steph Curry, when you get these guys in pick and switch, you get these guys in one-on-one situations, don't let them off the hook, man. Go after them. Make those guys defend.
And they did a great job last night. They really did.
Before we transition to the next topic, Haley, you
Yeah.
specifically have a super duper chat from a Mr. Shaq McKissick, last name. I don't know who that is. With 1999 euros. He's asking, currently, who's your top 10, Haley?
Hey, Shaq. Oh man, that's actually perfect.
Oh, you know him?
segue in-
Okay.
I know him, but yeah, I that's a loaded question. Also, it segues perfectly into what we're talking about next.
Why is it a loaded question, Haley? Who are the 10 best players you ever seen?
A loaded question. Who's the top 10 players?
Why is it
I'm
loaded?
not good. It's just like somebody asking me, "What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite song?" Like I don't know.
Draymond Green,
Monte Ellis.
Baron Davis.
Well, just because like I've only watched highlights of some of them, but it's definitely got to be MJ up there.
This is current.
Oh, right now.
This is today. This is today.
That's a good question, Shaq.
I was just picking
Who are the 10 best players in the game today?
Okay, like this season, I definitely Steph, definitely LeBron.
So Steph is one.
No, this isn't in order. This is just me. I can't do that right now. Okay, so I'll get Steph, Bron, KD, Luka. Let's see.
Can we not leave out the league MVP? Can we please not leave him out? I'm just saying. Can we please not leave that
Jokic. I guess Embiid.
I guess Embiid.
How about the dude that played in Milwaukee? I don't know if you remember him.
Giannis, the best player probably out of all of them. Giannis.
Yeah.
He's important. We can't forget about him.
I guess as far as like, because I'm other ones that I would normally consider like Kawhi, but he's been injured. Dame, but he's been injured. How many do I have left?
How about the high wire acting?
You have seven.
How about that
guy?
I think I have 7.
We need 3 more. 3 more.
I don't know if you know this, but
I wouldn't consider Harden. I wouldn't consider Kyrie.
How about the high wire act in Memphis? How about that dude?
How about my guy?
Ja?
No.
Yeah, Ja. What about Trey? Oh, that you weren't talking about him.
I wasn't talking about him. No.
I think Trey's up there.
Mm-hmm.
And what DeMar this season was awesome.
DeMar this is absolutely. He was in the MVP conversation.
So that's some of my top. That's some of my top.
All right, I'm gonna give you a pass, but say this. Let's say this, because I know and Jay knows we get this all the time. You better have your top 10 all time, top 10 current, and then like at least the top 5 in specific, like top 5 passers, top 5, scorers. Have to have it ready because they
have
are.
It unlocked.
They
okay.
I actually
I'm prepared. I
won't even lie. I'll even show you guys. I'll show you a little behind the scenes action. I think I have it. I don't even know where I have it.
That's on, like, you know how you got when
I have in my notes section of my phone. I got some of my list because I have a terrible like Jay will attest to this. I have a terrible memory, so I just have to have it there, because otherwise people's gonna ask me. I'm like, I don't know, and they're like, don't you know basketball? I'm like, not like that. My brain doesn't work that way.
So. Yes, Haley. When we talking about when it's like your phone, like you got people on speed dial. Top 10 got to be on speed dial.
All right.
Top 5 got to be on speed dial. You got to have that.
I know. Just put me on the spot like that. But I mean, also it's not that easy. Like the media makes it seem like it's just this clear cut, cookie cutter answer. But in my opinion, it's not. Like I think it should be. It changes,
Well, that's why you got to be able to, whenever you have, whether it's your top 5 or your top 10, you got to be able to defend it, because Tone top 10 might be different than my top 10. And I got to be able to defend my top 10 whenever I say that I think Bill Russell is a top 10 player all time. And here's why I think he's a top 10 player. Tone tells me Bill Russell is the 10th best player all time. And here's why. And I'm ready to twist the light back. Yeah, Bill Russell ain't even in his top 10. And just like Kobe Bryant ain't in my top 10. But I'm ridiculous. Right. And just like I think that Bill Russell ain't a top 10 player all the time. Are you nuts? What are we talking about here? But he gives me logic, and I'm thinking, all right, well, that's an argument, and that's legit. Just like when I tell him about Bryant, this is why I think these 10 dudes are ahead of him, and this is why. Okay, it makes sense.
Listen, we had this whole thing. You remember Jay Will was on Player's Choice with those guys, and Jay Will said he doesn't have. Now he's since backpedaled because whatever, but and Jay said, well, that's not ridiculous to say that, and so we did Fluent and Chill, and I was like, dude, how could you say that's not ridiculous? And then we had the discussion, and we went, well, hold on, depends how old you are, because if you're 80 and you're thinking, well, George Mikan played there. Right, Wilt played there, Kareem played there, Magic played there, Shaq played there. Well, that's 5. So I could, I don't see that logic, but you could. I don't agree with it. You can make the argument. I didn't even say Jerry West, Elgin Baylor. Like, there's so many Lakers. Like
James Worthy,
the top 10 Lakers could be like top 20 in all time, so it's just I don't like it. I don't even like having the conversation now. Let's move on. I hate saying it. Damn it, Kobe's the best Laker of all time.
Okay, well, anyway, speaking of top 10, Fluent, you posed the question, depending on what happens next, whether the Warriors win or not, would Steph be in the top 10 for you? And I think we've discussed this a little bit, possibly last
all-time top 10.
Is that what your question was?
That's what's the question we got.
Yeah.
And I think it deserves a little more discussion, because here's the thing. And I always say, Jay and I get into this all the time. We're like, look, if you're going to put someone in, who are you taking out?
Who are you taking out? Yeah.
So I think the consensus. Look, we might forget the order for a second, but I think everyone agrees, like Jordan, LeBron, Kareem, Magic, Bird are in your top 10, right? Okay, so we got 5. So let's look at the second 5. Most people have some combination of Russell, Wilt, Shaq, Duncan, Kobe, Olajuwon. So those 6, that takes you to 11. Who are you taking out of that 11? Again, the order doesn't matter. Who are you taking out to make room for Steph? And that's my biggest concern is, okay, well, those consensus 5, he's not taking out any of them, right?
None of those dudes in the first 5 are coming out. None of them.
None of those. So is he better than Kobe? I can't make that.
Well,
I think that's a
Go ahead, Haley. I'm sorry.
Well, I was actually talking about this the other night. Like, I think these are conversations in our head that we've been like so shut off to just because Steph hasn't gotten there yet. But now, like, I feel like we have to kind of start shifting our minds to even accept that and start talking about it, because I think there are some people that.
Is he better than Kobe? No. Is he better than Shaq? No. Are you taking him out for Tim Duncan, the most disrespected top 10 player ever? No, the man has 15 All-NBA and all defensive teams and 5. Like, come on, you're not taking. So it comes down to, well, are you taking him? Are you taking Curry? Are you saying Curry's career is better than? Excuse me, because that's what it's not skill and talent, and that's where maybe the crazy part is. Are you putting him ahead of career over Bill Russell or Olajuwon or Wilt or Shaq? I said Shaq already. Wilt, Olajuwon, or like, can you do that? You're a Steph fan. Could you put his career over Olajuwon? Russell?
No, and I think the thing is, the one that like is always most compared is Steph and Magic, and he's definitely not there. So, yeah.
Well, the first question that needs to be answered is why, if he were to win this and win the Finals MVP, why would that push him to the top 10? Well, this will be the first time that he's been the best player in a championship series. So now you want to put him ahead of Magic. Well, Magic has been the best player in the championship series 3 times to your 1. Okay. Magic has also won the NBA championship 5 times to your 4. So if you're basing it on
9 times,
that's in 12 years. Don't leave that part out. That's in 12 years, by the way. And so if you're basing it off that, well, he won the NBA championship, and not only did he win the NBA championship, he was the best player in the championship series. Well, I was the best player in the championship series 3 times to your 1. Okay, that's triple. You won the NBA championship 4 times. My team won the NBA championship 5 times. So if you're basing it off that, that logic doesn't work. Well, he changed the game. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that he changed the game. Once again, has Steph done extraordinary things? In the past, I said he had, and I thought that in order to get into the top 10, you have to do extraordinary things, which Steph has done extraordinary things. But the guy that they peg him up next to, which is Magic, that doesn't work. And the reason why that logic doesn't work is because, well, Steph has changed the game. Hey, Tone, if I'm not mistaken, before number 32 showed up, how many 6'9" point guards was running around in the NBA? If you can remind me. So I'm clear. How many 6 foot?
Carry the one. Yeah, it's 0.
I would like to think 0. And since number 32 left the NBA, how many 6'9" point guards leading the league in assists and becoming the showman that he was are running around in the NBA today? So I'm clear, Tony, if you can remind me of that.
Now, you threw in the showman because
Right.
there's one, and we consider him either the first or second greatest of all time,
Okay.
but not the showman that
Right.
showman that was
Right.
nuts.
And those things matter. Those things absolutely matter. Magic has had numerous 20 and 20 games in the playoffs, which is absolutely phenomenal.
Magic had a 42 and 15 game to close out a final, a championship.
Tone, don't just stop there when you say to close out a final. He had a 42, it was a triple double. He had 42, 15, and 12. And by the way, can I mention that I just got the job? I wasn't on the job for like 5 or 6 years. I just got the job here. So I don't really know what I'm doing. I just got the job. So when I think about those things, and I think about Steph Curry being a top 10 player all time, I think about my top 10 players all time. When I think about my top 10 players all time, James, Jordan, Jabbar, Chamberlain, Russell, Magic, Bird, Duncan, Olajuwon, Diesel. I don't think he was better than any of those guys because once again, those guys, all 10 of those guys were the best player in a championship series more than once. We could start and stop the conversation right there, right?
And let me be clear too, right? That doesn't make him a bad player.
No, it does not.
The fact that we're still having a conversation about top 10 in the 75-year history of the 5,000 whatever players that have been, he's in the conversation. We're having a conversation about being in the top 10. That's not a knock on him. We're not saying it's not terrible.
Okay, wait. Let me ask you guys both a question, just so I can have better understanding. At the time Magic was playing, who was on his team? Who were the best players on his team other than him?
Magic had,
you know, that's your team. Showtime Lakers.
Yeah, so he had what? Kareem, Norm Nixon, Michael Cooper, and then eventually and more, and eventually James Worthy came in, and then Kareem eventually.
Okay, and then Jay, what did the league look like at that point? Who were the best? Who were the best players in the league at that time that you put up there?
Yeah, like she's setting us up for something, Jay.
Well, I'm glad she's mentioning that.
No, I'm not.
She is actually, and it's actually making the case for why this shouldn't transpire. So back then, the best players in the league. So you're talking about Magic was one of the best players. Doc was one of the best players. George Gervin, Moses Malone, Jabbar. Let's see, Alex English, Dominique Wilkins, Larry Bird. So these were the better players in the game during that time, right? So add all of that up to the fact that as great as those players were, just so you know, Haley, like the finals that you saw on Monday night, that was tape delayed. That wasn't live. We got to watch that tomorrow. Like we don't even know who won. It was guys like Magic, guys like Bird. They made it now must-see TV. That's the reason why Curry is on live. There's a reason why LeBron James is on live, because Bird and Magic made basketball must-see TV. People didn't care about pro basketball in the early 80s. People didn't care what was going on.
Look, and I know that's not necessarily what they did on the court, but it is a reflection of what they did on the court in the sense that they were so good that people tuned in because the league was on the verge of bankruptcy.
Nobody cared, yo.
And they were going to shut it down. Like and it wasn't just then. Just think about it. When Jordan, and I use this because it's funny, and then we have a super chat from Shaq, so we'll get to it in a second, Shaq, I promise. When Jordan got drafted by the Bulls in 1984, the Bulls played in Chicago Stadium. The indoor soccer team, the Chicago indoor soccer team, was getting more fans to their games than the Bulls were.
Right. I saw that.
That's how bad the league was, at least the shape of the league was then. So so the fact that he and Bird together saved the league because their rivalry, their ability their play style, like Magic's play style. Like in LA, he made it a show. Like like I told you, I watched Magic for the first time. Went, I love this game, right? And I was before I could make a bounce pass, I was trying to throw it around the back pass, a no look pass. I didn't even know what the hell that was. What he was doing at his size, especially crazy. It's crazy.
So when you look at just the logic of him winning the NBA, the logic of Steph Curry winning the NBA championship and winning the Finals MVP. If you feel like that's what he has to do, that logic doesn't work, which means you already have him as a top 10 player all time. So this shouldn't change that, because it doesn't make him better than Magic, right? It doesn't put him ahead of Larry Bird. It doesn't put him, just because he's done this, won an NBA championship and won the Finals MVP. Now he's got 4. Well, that doesn't put him ahead of those guys. Now, when I think about what Magic has done throughout the course of his career, I mean, he was the best player in the championship series 3 times, right? He was the league MVP 3 times in 4 years, right? His team was in the NBA championship 9 times in 12 years. And Tone, you already know how I feel about being an all-NBA performer. Magic was first team all-NBA from 1980 to 1989. He missed it 1 time because he got hurt in 81. Other than that, he was first team all-NBA the entire decade. And this is when John Stockton was running around, when Isaiah Thomas was running around, when a bunch of great point guards were running around. He was, no question about it, the best lead guard in the game. And Tony, you and I have beaten this thing to nauseum. We're not going to get into the argument.
We'll get to the super chat right after I say this to Jasur, who says, we've got better athletes now. Better athletes don't make you better players. So go learn something about basketball, then come back into the chat. Okay, so here's the super chat. Here we go. Haley, you getting all the super chats. Look at that. Can we hear your all-time top 10? And where do you have KD and Giannis all time? Also, we should add this in. Fluent and Chill, you guys are truly elites. He's absolutely correct. And also, Kobe should be top 5 in any argument. That is also correct over Bird. I agree 100%. I have Kobe 5, Bird 6. But do you have your all-time top 10?
Yeah, I agree with both of you, except, well, I think I'm the same as you, Fluent. I do have Kobe in my top 10. Versus Jay, you said you didn't.
He does not. He has him 11.
You have Melange 1, right? So, I agree with that. As far as KD and Giannis, they're not there. I mean,
are they in your top 10?
KD and Giannis? No, they're not. Okay. Neither one. No, not yet. I think especially Giannis, they say he has like GOAT potential or whatever, but there's a lot more we have to see from him, in my opinion. As far as KD,
opinion, that's a fact. That's not your opinion. That's a fact.
Yeah, there's just so much more he has to do. In fact, he wasn't really that relevant until 3 years ago, 2 years
4 years ago. 4 years
ago, and he started winning his MVPs, and then now we see him. Here we are. But neither of them are in my top 10.
Mm-hmm. All right, so for Thursday, so sorry, chat. For Thursday, you have to have your top 10 all time and your top 10 current players, because Shaq's trying to dictate our content here with another super chat because he wasn't going to read it. OG and Fluent, where y'all got Grant Hill versus Bird? That was a topic on Player's Choice, right?
Well, when I think about Larry Bird, I think he's the second greatest small forward ever. And I know why you guys are doing this. You guys are doing this from a talent standpoint, and I don't care about talent. And the reason why I don't care about talent is because I've seen better, more talented players get outplayed. I've seen that plenty of times. In fact, there were guys who went up against Larry Bird who had more talent, who Bird outplayed. I think Dominique Wilkins was more talented than Larry Bird. Larry Bird outplayed him plenty of times. There are plenty of guys who Larry Bird went up against who were more talented. I think Magic was more talented than Larry Bird, and Larry Bird outplayed him. So the logic of these guys, Grant Hill, being more talented and being a better athlete than Larry Bird does not make him a better player. Bird was much smarter. Bird was much tougher. Bird was a better rebounder. Bird was a better playmaker. Bird was a better distributor. Add all of that up to the fact that Grant Hill is a what if more than anything, than in terms of him being a great player, because he spent a large chunk of his career being hurt. So we don't know what Grant Hill could have been. I mean, we know what he was, but there is so much more that he could have been. Don't forget, Bird was hurt too, And Bird ended up playing 12 years. And in the process of him playing 12 years, he was elite the entire time. I mean, Bird could hardly stand up in 1992, and he still averaged 20 a game with a bad back. He could hardly stand up. So to answer your question, I don't think it's a question. Larry Bird was better than Grant Hill.
Yeah, it's not actually. Someone jumped into my live because they saw the post and they said, "Hey, I got to ask you," like 2 hours ago. And I'll say the same thing I told him. We tend to confuse talent, skill, athleticism, even the eye test with who's better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's unfortunately not the case, because if you look at their careers, Bird did more, achieved more, produced more. You know, and I always use this example. Vince Carter might be one of the most talented, one of the most athletic people I've ever seen in my life. Do we ever have a conversation about him being one of the greats of all time?
Well, take it a step further than that, Tone. Take it a step further than that, Tone. You just said it yourself. Vince Carter is one of the most talented players we've ever seen. Is he better than Kobe?
I've said it before, and you know how I feel about Kobe. He is more talented and athletic than Kobe.
Correct.
Did he achieve anywhere near what Kobe did? Nope. So that's the same way I look at Grant Hill. Is Grant Hill skill, talent-wise? Mm-hmm. Can you compare it, even say it's better than Bird's? Sure. But you know what? If I need to win, I'm picking Bird 10 times out of 10 because he's the better basketball player. And I'll use a football analogy because we're supposed to talk about both, even though it's basketball season, so we're talking more basketball. Jamarcus Russell was a specimen, and the Raiders picked him first overall. He was a quarterback, by the way, for those who don't know. He was more athletic, more talented, had a bigger arm than Tom Brady. How'd that work out?
It did.
Right? This equates to basketball, football. Talent and skill is only so far. Heart, effort, your mental, those things too, and your health. Unfortunately, I can't even say the damn word, for Tracy McGrady and Grant Hill and all these other people, they get hurt and you don't get to see them to their full potential. And it's a big what if, but that doesn't make you better than someone who we did see how great they can be. Bird won 3 straight MVPs, and you've said multiple times probably should have won 4. That's not Grant Hill, man.
The year they gave the MVP to Jordan when he won Defensive Player of the Year, just so you know, Bird went 30 and 10, and he went 50, 40, 90 that year. I just want to put that out there.
Okay.
I just want to put that out there.
Okay, I think most of us agree on Bird, but Shaq has another super chat for you guys.
I'm gonna put you in charge of those because.
Yeah, Shaq, you are dictating our pod today, but okay. Fluent thinking I'm trying to dictate talent is valid, but I'm just asking questions. LeBron, MJ, or Shaq? Start, bench, cut. Would love to hear both of your takes. Fluent, you want to start? LeBron, MJ, or Shaq?
LeBron, MJ, or Shaq? LeBron. Now, is it look? Start, bench, cut is really just how do you rank them?
That's it. That's all it is. Don't let him trick you with this. Not let him trick you with this.
Don't let for those that weren't. Don't let the LeBron poster fool you. Okay, my son knows I'm a Laker fan, and he was at a book fair and bought me he said, "I bought you a Laker poster, Daddy. When are you going to put it up and so people could see it on the show?" So there it is. There it is. Okay, LeBron. However, don't get it twisted. I've got Jordan 1, LeBron 2, so I guess Shaq is cut.
That's the way that works.
That's the way it works. In order of free throws.
Yeah.
80, 70, 50. And here, I'll even answer for Jay. He's got LeBron, Jordan, Shaq.
There it is.
Yeah.
And it's not rocket science, Shaq. It isn't. And whenever I hear these start, bench, cut things, basically all it is asking me who are the better players here and where do you rank them? So don't get sucked into that. Absolutely.
Now listen, I'm smart. Jay knows this, and he'll tell you when it comes to money, I'm smart. So I'll figure out a way to start LeBron to feed Jordan and have Shaq coming off the bench. I'll have all 3 on my team, and you're done.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me.
I know. I hate when they have start bench cuts that are like Steph, Magic, and Trae Young. I'm like, well, you know what you're doing here. Like it's so obvious. But and I have a feeling Shaq, you can put it in the chat. But I have a feeling that
why would they have 2 point guards with a shooting guard?
Well, I get that all the time.
You know what yeah, they always mix it up, whatever. I have a feeling Shaq probably starts LeBron, but that's just my
Yeah. And Dell says I'm starting KD. Like
here's the thing. I'm starting James because he's my franchise player. I'm starting my unit with LeBron James. Jordan's coming off my bench, And all three of these guys are franchise players. There's no question about that. In fact, if you look at the top 10 guys all time, all 10 of those guys are franchise players where you could start your unit with them. I'm starting my unit with James. And then Jordan comes after him, and then the Diesel comes after him.
You could probably start your franchise with the top 15, maybe even top 20.
Yeah, you could do that. You could definitely do that. So
okay, we have a harder one from Shaq again. Jay, we'll start with you. KD, Bird, or Giannis? And he said this has to be harder.
No, it actually doesn't have to be harder because Bird's at the top of Bird's the second greatest small forward in the history of the NBA.
Bird's the greatest small forward in the history of the NBA.
Bird is the second greatest small forward in the history of the NBA behind LeBron James. So he starts. KD comes behind him, even though I think that KD is close. I think that Bird was better than KD because on the defensive side of the basketball, he was better. And Giannis is behind all three of those guys simply because Giannis hasn't done enough. For that reason right there, because what is going on here is Giannis is on his way to being that guy. He's not that guy yet. Yeah. He's on his way to being that guy. You know, if Giannis retired today, I think he's in the top 80 all time in points in NBA history. I think he's in the top, I think he's 95th all time in rebounds in NBA history. Are we really talking about a guy that's top 10 all time, that's not even in the top 50 as a power forward as he's listed as? And he does power forward things. Giannis is a dirty work guy. Giannis is a glass cleaner. He's a defender. But he's not in the top 10. He's not in the top 20 all time in the dirty work stuff that power forwards do. But we got this guy up against the all-time greats so early when a guy that just got started. I mean, we're talking about Giannis in year. He just got started like maybe 4 years ago being elite. So start Bird, bench KD, cut Giannis.
Hey, JD, get your popcorn or video ready. I'm starting Bird, I'm benching Giannis, and I'm cutting Kevin Durant.
Oh, Fluent. What have you done? What have you done? What are you talking about? That's crazy.
Bird is the obvious choice.
Crazy.
Of the three, Bird is the obvious choice. He's the best player, okay? Of the other two, I'm either taking the guy who scores and does nothing else, or the guy who does everything. He defends, he scores, he rebounds, he brings the ball up court, he can play point. I'm taking the more versatile guy who does more. Now, the only thing Giannis can't do is shoot threes. Okay, I can live with that because I'm going to surround him with guys who can. So I don't need KD's one ability, which is versatile scoring, because I have a guy who scores just as much as he does, but also plays elite defense. I don't think that's crazy to say.
Now, Tone, I'm
not comparing who had the better career.
That's what I think we're talking about. If we're talking about the reason why I said KD goes ahead of Giannis, because we got Bird in this, and we're talking about all time. If we're talking about today, Giannis is the best player in the game. So I can't put Giannis ahead of KD because I think he's the best player in the game. But if we're talking about all time, KD goes ahead of Giannis. Giannis just got started in terms of his greatness, and he's on his way to being that. But if we're talking about today, of course it's Bird, Giannis, KD, because I think Giannis is the best player in the game today.
There you go.
Okay, Shaq said he's running out of money, but this is his last super chat.
Yeah, he's running out of money. Yeah. He's running out of money.
Okay, Duncan, Jokic, Shaq as players, not accolades or accomplishments.
That makes me nuts.
Duncan, hold on. Duncan, I want to be clear what it is. Duncan, Jokic, Shaq as players, no accolades or accomplishments.
I want to crash my car into a telephone. I want to crash my car into a telephone pole standing on the gas.
You hate this.
Because essentially what you're telling me is that everything that I have accomplished, take all of that off the table, and all we're going to go off of, we're going to
feel it.
It does this. It eliminates the era and teammates and competition conversation because it's just from a talent perspective.
Right. So from a talent perspective, Tim Duncan is the most fundamentally sound player of all three of these guys. None of these guys are more fundamental than Tim Duncan, right? So we got Tim Duncan, we got Joker, and who else do we have?
Shaq.
We got Shaq. Okay.
Not McKiskey, the other one, O'Neal.
The Diesel, right? So we got the Diesel. So we got the most fundamentally sound big man, arguably the most fundamentally sound big man in the history of the game, right? That's number one. Number two, we have a guy who was running around in the NBA tearing down backboards right? That's what we had.
Dominant big man of all time.
We had a guy who they had to change the rules. They started fining Shaq. Hey, Shaq, every time you do this, we need to hold $10,000 for every time you do this. So they had to change the rules for him. A guy who he didn't really apply himself, and he'll tell you this, he didn't apply himself like he could have. And he, meanwhile, still won the NBA Finals MVP 3 straight years. He still did that. I mean, he had a stretch where he was absolutely awesome and the most dominant big man in the game. So Joker is behind all of those three. So Duncan, Diesel, Joker.
Duncan, Diesel, Joker. You're cutting the 2-time MVP. I know we're not talking about accomplishments. You're cutting the 2-time MVP. I just want to be clear. You're cutting the 2-time MVP, the unicorn, the guy who leads his team in points, rebounds, assists, blocks, donuts eaten, everything. He leads his team.
Shaq would have ate his lunch. I'm saying it. Shaq would have ate Joker's lunch. And I think Duncan would have ate Joker's lunch too.
So listen, if we're just strictly talking, like, forget what they did. Just, I put them on the court. Who's going to dominate the other? Well, it's the most dominant big man we've ever seen, which is Shaq. And people thinking Shaq, like now, sitting on the TNT desk weighing about 420. Nah, I'm talking about coast to coast, take a defensive rebound and take it coast to coast and then dunk it on you and break the backboard on your head, dominant Shaq, like late Orlando, early Laker Shaq. You're starting him. You are starting him. So I'm going most dominant, then I'm going most fundamentals, because I'm telling you right now, Jokic, look, Tim Duncan's going to have a hard time guarding Jokic out on the perimeter. I agree. But Tim Duncan is going to do things in the post to Jokic that he's never seen before and will never see.
Pause, Tone. Rewind, Tone. Tim Duncan's going to have a difficult time with Joker. We're talking about the all-NBA defender, Tim Duncan.
I'm saying out on the perimeter.
That's what I'm talking about. On the wing. You think he's going to have it? Because last I checked, Joker ain't blowing nobody's doors off on the wing.
No, I'm just thinking he might be shooting some threes over him. That's
okay, and even if he is, Duncan's big enough, and Duncan is athletic enough to crowd Joker. So
he's tipping all those assists, those passes. Those are going to turn into turnovers. That's what.
Okay.
Most fundamental, then Jokic.
Okay. We're gonna move on because that's a whole nother topic. Another one from Shaq, 5-on-5. Okay, so team 1, we have MJ, CP3, KD, Hakeem, and Yao. On the other team, we have Shaq's personal fave, versus Braun, J Kidd, Giannis, Duncan, and Shaq. I'll repeat that one more time. Team 1, MJ, CP3, KD, Hakeem, and Yao. Team 2, Braun, J Kidd, Giannis, Duncan, and Shaq. I don't know why Jason Kidd was just in there, but those are our teams, okay? Who's winning?
I think that James's team wins. Number one, when I look at James and Jason Kidd, I think that Jason Kidd, both him and James speed the game up. Just defensively, Jason Kidd is one of the better transition guards in the game. And I think that he speeds the game up. And Giannis being on the wing with Jason Kidd, and Giannis being on the wing with Jason Kidd handling it, and James on the other wing, and Shaq trailing. And who's my other big?
Duncan.
Duncan.
I think that they destroy that other team. I think they destroy that other team down low.
So, Jay must be forgetting that the 5 minutes that Yao was healthy, he was the only one with tree trunk legs strong enough to give Shaq even a bit of trouble. And I got Hakeem, probably the best two-way center ever. And then I got KD, the most versatile scorer ever. The thing with Braun, Kidd, Giannis, Duncan, Shaq, no one who can shoot. And you got to combine 67% free throw shooting. So you can foul certain people in certain situations. Whereas on the other team, you got CP3. Again, we're assuming he's healthy. Because if it was a true series, I'd say the team with CP3 loses because he's going to get hurt and be out. So if they all stay healthy for this whole thing, CP3 is one of the best point guards, distributor, defensive guys ever. I got Jordan, the greatest player of all time. I've got KD, like I said, the most versatile scorer of all time. I got Hakeem, inside, outside, defense, offense. Yeah, I'm going with the team of MJ and CP3. I think they're more versatile in the ways that they can score at the free throw line, And I think they can listen. None of these guys, let me be very clear, because people are going to say this person's going to shut down that person. None of them are shutting down any of them.
Right. So
Period.
Duncan is
I think that team has a better chance of maybe slowing down them, maybe at the free throw line, if nothing else.
As difficult a time as Duncan would have with Olajuwon would have an equally difficult time with Duncan. As difficult a time as Shaq would have a difficult time with their big, but their big would have a difficult time with Shaq. KD, on the other hand, I'm thinking KD would have a difficult time with Giannis, simply because Giannis does defend. Now, don't get me wrong. Giannis does defend. KD is an offensive juggernaut, and I will not take that away from him. But KD has a tendency to take a step back. Now, would this be a good thing for that unit? Would this be a good thing for him? Because Jordan is going to be the dominant guy on that unit. That's not a question about it. Jordan is going to be the guy who the offense is going to run through. But he's also going to be the guy who's going to look for Olajuwon. He's also going to be the guy who's going to look for Yao. He's also going to be the guy who's going to try to get these guys implemented in the offense. Now, I look at CP3, and there's no reason for me to think, number one, that he's not going to break down. There's no reason.
That's why I said he has to be
up. That's number one. Number two, there's also no reason for me to think that he's not going to fall to pieces like he's done in the past. I think that's going to be the difference in this game. When I think about that team of Giannis, Jason Kidd, LeBron James, Shaq, and Duncan, I think defensively, I think that they would give that other team hell. And I think that
let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen a team that LeBron has been on, and this isn't a knock, but have you ever seen a team that LeBron has been on where he hasn't been the system who's the primary ball handler?
I have never seen a team that he's been on. Well, actually, I did. I seen that in 2011, and they did.
We saw how that worked out. Yeah, we saw how that worked out. So
it didn't go well.
So what good is Jason Kidd if he doesn't have the ball in his hands?
Well, here's the thing. Jason Kidd can play off the basketball, even though Jason Kidd wasn't the primary ball. He was the point guard and the primary ball handler when he was in Dallas. But they had the offense that they had that year when they won the NBA championship. It wasn't really structured.
We're not using that Jason Kidd. We're using in his prime the Jason Kidd that led the Nets to the finals, who was the primary ball handler. So that's where I think there might be a problem, because of the 10, not by much, but Jason Kidd is the worst of the 10. Like if you
I think James back then when he was in Miami, I think James back then when he was in Cleveland, I think he could play off the basketball and get out on the wing, just like Giannis.
I think he could. I don't think he does.
I think he would too. You can't believe that he would be that selfish, Tony. He would be that difficult not to do that.
What has shown me in 20 years that he isn't?
Well, he's never played with Jason Kidd and Shaq, and that's the reason why. Well, he played with Chris Bosh and he played with Dwayne Wade, and he did take a step back. And what happened?
And it didn't work. But that's my point. So I think he's going to dominate the ball, and it's going to hurt their team chemistry.
Okay, so we're split. Honestly, if I could go back and watch this in time, that would be incredible. But okay, I'll leave it up to you guys. Do you want to go into trades, or do you want to just do rapid fire questions from the chat?
Oh, we you know what? I think we've been doing quite well. It's been the Shaq hour, but
paid our rent for the next month. Thank you, Shaq.
There's at least the 5 paid our rent. There is the 5. You want to just rapid fire those trades and say maybe just good trade, bad trade? Maybe not get.
Yeah, let's do that.
We're already into overtime again. Mm-hmm. Shaq thinks this is a 3-hour show like Player's Choice. It's an hour, bro.
All right. Rapid fire. Start with you, Fluent. Bradley Beal heads to the Heat. Wizards get Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, Caleb Barton, and Gabe Vincent. Yes or no?
Bradley Beal to the Heat. So we're putting
for Tyler, Duncan
Hero,
Robinson.
Hero, Robin, Duncan Robinson. No, I hate that trade.
No.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
I hate that trade.
No.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Giving up way too much.
Giving up way too much and not getting enough in return, and
no. Okay, up next, Christian.
I would do Kyle Lowry for Bradley Beal if they want to do a straight up 1-for-1.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, Christian Wood to the Grizzlies. Rockets get Brandon Clark and DeAnthony Melton, and the number 22.
Say it again. I was too busy pushing my stupid buttons.
Okay, Christian Wood to the Grizzlies. Rockets get Brandon Clark, DeAnthony Melton, and the 22nd pick.
I actually like that trade for Memphis because I think that Wood is better than Clark. But if I'm Houston, if I'm Memphis, I'm gonna ask for a little bit more. You gonna have to throw me in a number 2 or maybe even a 1 because I'm not just handing over Christian Wood because I think he's a walking. I think he's gonna be a walking double double, especially on a good team like Memphis. So you gotta give me something else. You can't just give me Brandon Clark and I can appreciate I can appreciate a 1. Throwing a 1 there. Yeah, I can get with that. If I'm Houston, you gotta give me a 1.
Who's Memphis giving Brandon Clark and who?
Melton.
Oh, Melton. Yeah,
Who's
I like it. I like it. I like Brendan Clark a lot, but yeah, I think I like Christian Wood a little bit more. So I'm okay with that one.
Yeah, I don't hate that. Although I agree with you, Jay. I think they need a little bit more. Okay, on to the third. This is a good one. Damian Lillard joins the Joker in Denver. Blazers get Michael Porter Jr., Bones Highland, Monte Morris, and the 21st pick.
Sign me up.
Okay, you're with it, Fluent. That's.
I'm just thinking. I'm thinking about from Denver's standpoint. I mean, that's a lot to give up. And what I mean when I say that's a lot to give up, this thing has to work. Now you get an MPJ's contract off your books, so that helps. You get
that's why I like that one.
Yeah, you get an MPJ's contract off your books, that helps. Now you're getting a ball dominant Damian Lillard. Now you pairing him with Joker, who's also ball dominant. So now, do we have to change the offense? Is this going to work between those two guys?
But Dame can play off ball, and he's played off ball. Now he's more of an on ball. He can play off ball. He
played off ball in the Olympics, Tone, and it didn't go that well.
Well, I think like you said about LeBron, he can.
Oh, he can do
it. And they're also, don't forget, you're also getting Jamal Murray back. Mm-hmm. So I think if that's your backcourt of Jamal Murray and Dame Lillard are a little undersized, I like it. I think they figure out they have to figure out the offense. I agree with you. You're gonna have to figure out who's gonna do what. But I mean, you've got 3 guys who can score, who can pass, who can shoot. Like I don't think I'm giving up. Like, you know, like you said, you're getting rid of a 1 contract. You're getting rid of Morris, who's nice, I think, off the bench. But you're getting Dame Lillard. Like,
this guy that I'm getting is better than both of these dudes. No doubt about it.
Easily to both, but I think I like the sound of it. I just don't know the reality of it or how that would play out, but we'll see what happens. Okay, and the 4th trade, Rudy Gobert links up with KD and Kyrie in Brooklyn. Utah gets Ben Simmons, Nick Claxton in the 23rd pick. Jay.
Yeah.
That might be the most realistic. That actually what that might happen.
I'm liking that for Brooklyn because he's exactly what they need. He's the dirty work guy. He's the rim protector. He's the glass cleaner that they need. He's the guy who, the big guy, Jared Allen. He was what he would be Jared Allen. He would be exactly
an upgrade from Jared Allen. But yeah.
He would, no question about it. He would be an upgrade. Now, that would definitely mean that if Ben Simmons is coming to Utah, that would we have to move off of Donovan Mitchell? Because Ben Simmons is not going to shoot the basketball. That means
you get to keep Mitchell.
Right. You get to keep
Simmons would be like, hey, you shoot 50 times a game.
Yeah,
I'm good.
That may work for Utah. This might work for both parties here because now
they get Claxton, who's a young big too, right? So they get
he's good.
Not Gobert good, but he's
I'm not a big Donovan Mitchell fan. I think he's a volume shooter. I think he's really inefficient. However, I think Ben Simmons is an upgrade from Mike Conley. I will tell you that, and I think that he makes them better. So I do think that this works out for both parties.
Yeah,
I'm feeling it. Yeah.
So that last one's the most realistic.
Yeah, I'm feeling that.
All I know is Utah needs to make an adjustment. And
we can't bring back the same unit. We got to do something.
No.
Yeah, I doubt.
And now that Quinn's gone too.
Yeah, I doubt a new coach is going to come in and they're not going to shake up the roster a little bit. They got to do something.
Yeah,
I do think, Tone, that with this group that they have, I don't think that they have to make major changes, but I do think that there's some things that need to change. Like Mike Conley, we got to move off Mike Conley. Mike Conley has proven that I don't think he's proven to me that his days of being a starting point guard on a championship contender, I think they're over.
Yeah.
So I think they need to upgrade at that position. I do think they need to do that.
Yeah.
And they need to figure out, and they need to figure out what are we doing with Donovan Mitchell And because what I equated to, Tone, and you being a Laker fan, what are we doing with Shaq and Kobe? When Phil Jackson shows up, what are we doing? What are we doing with Shaq and Kobe? What kind of offense are we going to run? Well, the same logic should be made with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. What are we doing with these two guys? Because it's not just a situation where we got to dump Rudy. Well, wait a minute. This dude makes us significantly better defensively. He's our rim protector. He's our rebounder. We can't just dump him. And that's to the fact that we can't just dump 26 a game either. So we got to get to the bottom of what exactly is going to be your role, Rudy? What exactly is going to be your role, Donovan? And how are we going to work this out between the both of you guys? Now, is this a situation that can't be salvaged where both of those guys, they just can't work together? Then that's something different. But if we can work together, we got to get roles established. That way we can get to the bottom of how good we can be.
I think ever since that damn COVID thing, I just think Mitchell and Gobert are done. I've never seen them mesh after that, and it's been 2 years. So I think,
I don't know how well they meshed before that. Before that,
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, like I don't know, I don't like or love that duo at all. I never really have.
I think you break it up. Yeah, and if you can get Ben Simmons and Claxton, heck, if you can get Ben Simmons and then maybe figure out a way to get 8 in there too, you might be much better in better shape. I don't know.
Ooh, we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. Is Ayton? Is he leaving?
Oh, he's gone.
For sure?
So gone.
Okay.
Listen,
I didn't know how real that was.
There are 2 things that I will bet money on, and I don't gamble. 1, Ayton will not be on Phoenix next year. And 2, on draft night. When is draft night? It's coming soon, isn't it?
Yeah.
24th. I think it's the 24th.
24th?
23rd,
all right.
23rd or the 24th.
Mark this down. Zion Williamson will get traded on draft night. I'll say it again. Zion will get traded on draft night.
Tone, you don't think we can fix this thing in Phoenix if we just pay him?
I think he's played his last game in Phoenix.
Even if we pay him, you don't think we can fix this?
So you're telling me all this time we're not paying you. Okay, fine, we're gonna pay you. Yeah. I don't think ownerships are that type to say I'm not doing it. Okay, fine, I'm gonna do it. I think they feel that they can get the same type of player without having to pay a max, and they might be right. Now it might be a little bit less of a player, but I think they can fill what he does for less than a max.
I think they're making.
I think way too many guys are getting max deals that aren't worthy of max deal. Half the max players aren't max players.
That part I won't argue. I will not argue that part. However, I do have a problem with letting 18 and 10 at 23 years old walk out the front door. I got a huge problem with that. I have a big problem with letting 18 and 10 because I think that Ayton could be a 20 and 10 guy. He could be in his best season. He could be a 24 and 11 guy. I think that he could be that. And I'm really not interested in letting him walk out the front door or handing him over to Atlanta for Capella or some nonsense like that. No, I'm not trying to hear that.
He could do worse. They could do worse than Capella. I like Capella. I liked him better in Houston, mind you, but that might have been because he was really good for my fantasy team, and I sometimes confuse.
But I understand what they're doing in Phoenix. What they did was they bet on Chris Paul. They paid him instead of paying Ayton. Add that to the fact that MPJ, Luka, Trae Young, all of these guys got paid. Meanwhile, Ayton is over here. He's an anchor on a team that's in the NBA Finals. And he's sitting there like, well, hello, what's going on?
Sir, we missed the best trade. We missed the best trade. So I'll leave it with this one. JD had a trade offer. How about we trade KD, Jokic, Embiid, and Kawhi to the Mavericks for absolutely nothing? I think he's a Mavericks fan. I'm not sure.
JD, there's no cash consideration here, no draft pick. You just want us to hand these guys over, not even for a bucket of extra crispy and a
hostile takeover.
Is that what you're doing? You just come and just going to raid my crew and you're just going to take my players, huh, JD? Right? You're just going to take my players. You ain't going to ask me. You're not going to give me a bucket of extra crispy, a six-pack, or a sandwich.
They're going to take a bus.
Unbelievable.
We need another trophy, he said.
Oh, they're going to take a bus and drive around from stadium to stadium and just pick their best player.
You know what you're going to do, JD? You're going to take my guys. Unbelievable. I'm not standing for this.
All right, listen, I know that there's one more thing. Do we want to save that for Thursday or do you want to
Yeah. Well, I was just going to ask. Yeah, we'll probably save it for Thursday, but Thursday is game 6, right?
Yep.
Oh.
How do we want to do a little bit earlier pod or do we want to just keep it? You guys in the chat, let us know.
Okay, hey JD, can you throw up a survey or a poll, whatever? Should we do the show earlier on Thursday? Actually, it's gonna be 3 choices: earlier, cancel, or do a watch party. for an hour. What's because what time does the game start? 9?
9 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. Dang, that's so late for you guys. That's crazy.
You know why, Haley? Because of people like you that live on the West Coast. That's why.
But like, why don't we do it at like 4 or 4:30? That's what we did, or you guys do in Boston or on the East Coast anyway.
I have to tell you, that's the one thing I miss about living in the West Coast was getting to stay up and watch every single game.
Yeah.
And during football season, right? 10 a.m.
Oh, early morning. Oh,
I'm at the bar at 10,
all day long.
And all day long. And then I don't know if you know this, but back when I was living in San Francisco, I always say I had to, like it's a bad thing. I spent a week a month in Hawaii. So the game started at like 6 in the morning. It was the best.
That's
you just wake up.
Weird.
All day. It was
all day.
Oh, we love Sunday football days. They're the best. But yeah, so we'll see what
let's see what the chat. We have 14 votes. Well, I guess when it shuts off. What's your vote? I'll put in a vote for you because I know you're not watching. Jay.
I'm good. I'm good going an hour early. I'm good. I'm good starting at 8 o'clock, and then we'll get going. And by the time we're done, the game will start.
Okay, we'll start. We'll do a pregame. Okay, so pregame.
That's what I'm thinking.
I'm vetoing the actual vote because the vote actually is a watch party at 48%. So we're gonna do pregame 8 to 9.
Okay.
So we're gonna start an hour early next week, even though watch party did win. Which I appreciate that. That's actually really. You know what?
We'll do like it early into the game. It'll probably trail.
Yeah, we'll go into tip-off
a little bit.
We always talk too much and go too late. So you know that's the best people watch our show. Want to watch it? You know what?
Overthrowing democracy is elite. JD said because we just ended up just choosing what we wanted.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you think this was democracy? This is a dictatorship, bro. I'm Stalin, Castro, and she's Cleopatra. We got
okay. But yeah, so anyways, we'll wrap it up for today.
Think of it. I was like, I gotta think of some dictators. There's not that many. There's probably that many. You're a history guy. Who are 3 dictators, Jay?
Mussolini.
I think I'm more Mussolini, maybe.
Ho Chi Minh is a dictator. And let's see, Stalin's a dictator.
Stalin, yep.
So I did get 3. I was right then. Okay.
Well, we can't have Haley as Cleopatra, and the reason why we can't have Haley as Cleopatra, Julius Caesar was killed because of Cleopatra, so we can't have Haley as Cleopatra.
Oh, no.
I don't care.
I don't want that on my hands.
I can't have it. No.
So yeah.
I'm okay. Listen, the famous Cleopatra was Greek, so between her and Giannis, we're building up a team over here.
Dorian said Fluent's turning into Shaq being a dictator. LOL.
And shenanigans too. Don't leave that part out because the shenanigans with Tone, they start as the clock starts to run. The shenanigans with Tone, they just increase. The nonsense it heightens and it just gets better.
Wait till I get these buttons.
No. Oh no.
What I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the shenanigans. Here we go.
Man, all right, Jay, you want to take it away for today?
All right, guys. So take it light.
It's time to go. It's time to go. It's time to go because Dub is here. So yes, go ahead. Take it away, Jay.
Take it light. But take it.